And we are live. All right, gang. Here we are, back in the saddle. Hope everybody had a good long weekend, Labor Day weekend. And really want to dive into... Actually, I got a question from a new hand plan affiliate. I thought it was a really good question because I think that... So first, before I dive into it, the question I got was... let me actually just read it verbatim because I can't paraphrase much better. And it said, it's just that comparing to my previous program, this class has a lot less volume. And to better understand and comprehend the reasons behind lower volume, how do I understand this? And so basically it was, the question was, compared to a previous program, the hand plan, the programming for an affiliate is much less volume. So, and I thought it was a really good question because I think that I've talked a lot about this in all different types of soapboxes. So, I was like, I really, instead of me piecing together an answer or piecing together podcasts that I've done, let me talk about it and hopefully have a resource for people going forward. So, obviously, I can't speak to other programs that you're following without any reference, right? But if you give me an idea of what you were doing, then obviously I can speak to it, to a T. But with that said, I cannot absolutely speak to the program that we are and that we have. And then really just talk about a basic timeline of a class and then in relationship to volume. And I think that can be really helpful. So, all right. And so that's the soapbox I want to get on. And I do also want to predicate this off. All right. So before we have this conversation, we need to understand a few things. One major factor is, what are your goals? So when we program, the hand plan we program for all different types of athletes is based off different goals. So we have our individual programs, and individuals have goals as well. And by individual, it's people maybe not an affiliate or have their own programming. We have our ham competitor, which we're talking probably 2 hours of working out, lots of volume separated by rest, and it beats up the body. It's a good amount of training. With all sorts of equipment. Then we have a ham 90, which is for 90 minutes of work. And then we have ham 60 just for 60. We also have ham at home for dumbbell, jump rope, or body weight stuff. And then we have our affiliate program. And our affiliate program is really all of our workouts follow the same general DNA and template. So if you follow Ham Compete or the affiliate or Ham 90 or even Ham at Home, that main workout is going to be very similar. Now, obviously, we change for equipment needs, but And the reason why is because it's important to have a focus, have a cycle, and we do follow through with that. Now, when we look at the affiliate piece, okay, let's talk about volume compared to, say, other programs. And what I'm going to compare it to is what we are not. And really just talk about our job. When we program for an affiliate, really all of our goals we assume are the same for the most part. What that means is people want to look good naked. They want to develop functional competence, not necessarily functional dominance. They want to be more competent at what life may demand of them. They want to feel good, play good, perform good. They want to move through a functional, pain-free range of motion. And over time, our goals will evolve to not only that, but also would like to achieve more physically. That might come in turn of learning new skills and drills within the gym, but also maybe that leading to new stuff that you can do outside the gym, taking up a new physical hobby or whatever it might be. Or at the very base level of playing with your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren, or being able to just do any normal function, right? And be able to coach your kids' teams or whatever it might be. And have fun in the process, but also we also have to fit it on a budget of time, right? An hour a day where people show up late and leave early, okay? And I would say that 99.9% of our members that walk in the gym fit that mold, which is awesome. This is also coming from over 10 years of experience and owning over 3 gyms and running a 4th, okay? So there is a good amount of experience, and that's really based off the experience that I have and I've seen. So with that, when you take a look at a workout, okay, and a class, and you have a few options. We program CrossFit. constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. Now, when we take a look at those three pieces here, that variance piece is relatively simple to achieve if you have a template, which we do, to make sure that we're not having any sort of misses or randomized stuff. Also programmed for a lot of people, you get feedback pretty consistently, so it's great. And so that variance allows us to get adaptation anywhere and everywhere. So if we do, so for example, as I look at, a couple different workouts here, I look at Saturday's workout on the hand plan. This past Saturday was squat clean DT, 5 rounds, 12 deadlifts, 9 hang squat clean, 6 push jerks. And then the next day was a gymnastic nasty piece of toes to bar push-ups, strict pull-ups, piked push-up, gymnastic kipping pull-ups, and strict burpees. So again, variances across 2 days, beautiful, not only in movements, but also modalities and also time domains, as well as movement function. Functional movements, absolutely. Taking something from the ground, bringing it to your shoulder, bringing it overhead, bringing yourself from the ground, bringing yourself overhead, all of that stuff. So you have physical body weight, you have your weightlifting, all that. Then we have functional movements. This is what we do, right? And really when it comes down to the movements that we're doing, in order to execute these movements appropriately, you need to have proper technique. In order to have proper technique, you need to know how to put your body in the right positions at the right time. You need to move well. You need to practice. You need to make sure that you're efficient. All of these things allow you to move faster. All of these things allow you there to move a larger load a longer distance quickly, allow you to create more intensity and get more results. Because really the end state is we program for results, for fitness. We don't program for anything else. Our goal is to get our people better. So really a few things that can get us there. We know intensity is that independent variable most commonly associated with maximizing the rate of return on favorable adaptations. Intensity gives you the results. Hopefully you remember that from your level 1. If you haven't, you will never forget it once you go. And for those of you out there that may never want to coach the level, just definitely go to your level 1. It's a great course for yourself and to help the people close to you as well. So we understand that this fitness piece is that these, we can move fast or you can move heavy. But in order to move fast and move heavy consistently and over the long term, you need to move well, which means you need to put your body in the right positions at the right times. You need to essentially have proper technique. More importantly, you need to have transferable technique from one movement to another. We need to know how to keep a rigid midline. We need to know how to open up the hip. We need to know all of those things. And why does it sound like I'm digressing so much is because that is the coach's job. Our job as coaches is to teach, see, and correct, educate, inspire, and entertain. So how does this come back to volume? Well, let's look at it this way, okay? In a class where we have toe to bar, push-ups, strict pull-up, piked push-up, gymnastic kipping pull-ups, and strict burpees. Right now, when we take a look at this workout, how long is it going to take? Right, when we think about the stimulus, it's going to take 12 and 20 minutes. The skill is higher, the volume is high, the loading is weight, just body weight. Right now, when we look at the class, what we're going to do is we need to make sure that we're teaching our people these things. And we now need to have a goal. So as opposed to saying, hey guys, well, this is only a 12-minute workout. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift beforehand, or we're going to add in all of this extra stuff. And because now your class turns into no longer teaching, it turns into a boot camp. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your goal. But what we need to do is spend time in the class teaching the piked push-up, the toe to bar, the gymnastic kipping pull-up, the strict pull-up. And not only that, we need to scale people effectively. We need to make sure that they're getting the range of motions, that they're getting the right rep schemes. So they are warming up generally, right? And then from there, we go into our specific warm-up. And then in that specific warm-up, we're teaching our athletes the scaling options, which for some is a warm-up, also for others becomes what they're going to be doing in the workout. And then what that allows them to do in the workout is achieve the appropriate stimulus, which is move quickly, have the proper intensity, right? Making sure that they're right where they need to be. And then we know results will come. So as opposed to saying, well, if you can't do this, you do this, or this, blanket scaling options, making sure that we're really putting people as close to where they need to be. This is a big challenge. So the more that you shove into an hour, the less coaching you're doing. So I would say that no matter if you're asking yourself about volume in your programming versus others, I would almost guarantee you're not being an effective coach. Not because you're not a good coach. It's because you are not giving yourself the time to teach, see, correct, repeat that process, and then make sure that people are scaled effectively, coaching, making sure that they're warmed up appropriately, keeping them safe, and then making sure that they hit the workout appropriately, coaching your butt off throughout that workout, and then making sure that they cool down, right? So we have to make sure that our athletes are cooling down, stretching. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't other things, right? So when you look at our class plans, like I'm just looking at a class plan right now as a reference, the whiteboard brief, and then you have the general warm-up, which, again, that's going to take 15 minutes for a general warm-up. Even in this gymnastic piece here, specific warm-up is going to take 10 minutes. Workout takes around between 12 to 20 minutes. And then you can always have accessory work, right? The accessory work is always fun, whether it is all different, it's some type of bodybuilding stuff, whatever it might be. And you can have stretching and or accessory work within that class. So you have this timeline, 60 minutes. Nowadays, certainly in the COVID world of coaching, it's 45 minutes to give yourself a 15-minute buffer. So we have to be even more effective. So we don't want to be jamming everything into this hour. There are some days where you're going to do a lot more than others, and there's also some days where you might lift and do a Metcon. Right? So, for example, the day prior we had squat clean DT. So maybe beforehand, because we can teach the squat clean, we're going to teach the jerk. So maybe you do a heavy squat clean and jerk, but it's not going to be a max. You're just going to get above working weight, above the game weight. And then, and for some, that also might just turn into practice. So if you have for that loading time, for that specific warm-up, 22 minutes, right, giving yourself 8 to 10 minutes to lift heavier, some of your newer athletes or your athletes that are a little unsure of the movements just might get way more practice reps at the lighter weight, which is most likely where they have the most opportunity for improvement and where they should be. A handful of your veteran athletes or advanced athletes can go a little heavier, super compensate, and they've earned that ability to get there. So you're still coaching. It's still giving you opportunity to spend time on it, but it just might look a little different. So, and our general warm-ups, the general warm-ups not only generally warm up the athlete, but they also need to make sure that they're having some sort of congruency to the workout. Specifically, if you have a wide spectrum of athletes or high skill movements in the class, you should absolutely lace those things in there, because there's no way you can be effective even across an hour unless you really start from the very beginning coaching. So if your warm-ups are just running and jumping jacks and the workout has, the barbell in it, you're not getting your athletes any repetitions on the workout. You're getting them warm, but you're not giving yourself any opportunities to see them in movements that you might be able to start to correct, or at least give yourself data on what to look for to make them better, because that is really our job, to make our athletes better, to keep them safe and get them a workout every day. And that's hard to do within that time frame. So with that, it's also about management of the group. So if you have a lot of volume in a class, it's very easy to also just blow the whistle. All right, go here, go this. You're not really doing any coaching, but it's also you're going to say, well, my athletes are used to it. Well, remember, they got used to it because you put them through it, which means they can get used to anything they're doing. Remember, anything new or any change is met with some level of opposition. That's just the way the human works. So if you're going to change the programming to go from, say, like a super high volume stuff to, say, the hand plan where it's low volume, and I would argue it's and I was talking to James Hobart about this, it's not low volume if you look at it. You're just not understanding the actual implementation. Volume is inclusive of the general warm-up, specific warm-up, the workout, and the accessory work, right? You have to look at the class plans and look at what's in that hour as all volume, as opposed to, we could just write, if we wrote it differently, it's like, all right, well, here's the part one, workout one, and we just wrote it like a workout, as opposed to breaking it down into parts and pieces and specific warm-ups, so on and so forth. That's very high volume, right? So, but it's, if you're just blowing the whistle and pushing people through, your people are like, wow, I'm getting so much work done. you know, you need to apply that same approach to a workout. A workout, warm up, and cool down. Once the class starts, they should always be moving. It's just different parts and pieces. They shouldn't be bored. There shouldn't be downtime. It's really hard to do. Your group management needs to be on par. That's why from when we program for our affiliates, we give so many tools for the execution of a class. Because we know that the programming in and of itself is useless without proper execution. I mean, if you look at how much time we spend writing on our general and specific warm-ups, it blows the regular workout out of the water. Because we have to spend so much time doing that, but if you really think about it, it's almost more important than the workout itself. If the workout needs to be executed appropriately to hit the stimulus, then we as coaches need to make sure that you are getting your athletes warmed up, progressed up to the load, but also they're getting better or refining current skills so when they do the workout, they're moving well, they're ready to rock and roll, and they can hit that workout with that high level of intensity that they should in order to garner adaptation. We shouldn't be moving throughout this moderate intensity and sort of moderate loading if that's not what we're looking for, because we didn't properly warm them up or we didn't properly get them ready for that type of dose. So, and the accessory work at the end is a nice piece, but honestly, the challenge to you is if you coach a class, for the most part, that is a metabolic conditioning workout, I would say 50% of your class won't want to do the accessory work because they sent it. You did your job and they're so exhausted they just want to recover and stretch. Awesome. And then you also have your workout crazies that want some more, or maybe some that, no matter what you do, are always going to want more. No matter how you scale them or whatever it might be, they might not give all of that. So the accessory work is there for that purpose. So again, understanding that type of volume is very, very important. And general physical preparedness, GPP, is also predicated on making sure that you achieve those results. If you do 3 workouts in a day, you triple your risk for injury compared to 1. Now, of course, the more that you do from a perspective of stimulus, you have that adaptation. But also, we need to make sure that what is the point of doing 3 workouts at moderate intensity as opposed to 1 workout at high intensity? We know that intensity gives us the results. Moderate intensity will yield moderate results. So there is also that piece. We know that if we do strength every day, then a Metcon, that we're falling to that same piece. We're also, anytime we add in more workouts, right, we are taking away opportunity to coach. We need to understand that more volume doesn't mean better. And I'll tell you this, for all of the gyms that follow our programming, they hit PRs. We retest almost once a week, if not twice a week. And the PRs that we see come through are unfathomable. We know this stuff works. And our goal is to also keep our athletes healthy and challenging them with new things. We need to teach our athletes new skills. We need to teach them how to climb ropes and do pull-ups and get upside down and move the barbell, whatever it might be. And that's our job as programmers, is to follow that. And your job as coaches is to implement that. What we know we're doing is we're asking a lot of you as coaches. When you see a workout that is relatively short, you know that that's the day where, and to get people to hit the stimulus, you have to really achieve it. Longer workouts with all sorts of stuff, you don't have as much opportunity to teach here, correct? Because you don't have time. Those days are important. You're just not going to do as much coaching. You're going to do more, say, hey, blanket scaling options here, here, and here. These are the only options. There's nothing wrong with that once in a while. But if we do that all the time, our people aren't going to get better. Now, keep in mind, you also might say, well, my athletes were getting better before, so why would I change it? Just because you're getting results now doesn't mean you're optimizing the results, and it actually doesn't mean that you or your athletes are where they should be or can be, right? That's a very, very slippery slope. Complacency breeds mediocrity, right? So you as a coach should be challenged every day to execute the class appropriately. Your athlete should be challenged. Now, this doesn't mean if you have an athlete that does not, like if an athlete just comes in and says, listen, I just want to get a workout here. On heavy days, I will sometimes give my athletes the option to do sort of like, hey, like if it's a deadlift heavy day. Well, instead of deadlifting heavy today, you can do 20 cals on the bike, and you can do 5 heavy deadlifts, and you'll do that for a 20-minute AMRAP. You're going to warm up with everyone, and once it starts, you can do that. So the lesson is the same. I'm not going to do anything on the bike. I'll do that for the athletes that want that. There's nothing wrong with that to take care of your people, okay? And if that's where they want to be, that's okay. But we also know that there's a beautiful stimulus to that deadlift, and we want to make sure we give that to everyone. And honestly, we give that to people, and it's about like 3 or 4 people hit that, and then the rest of the class has a heavy day. So again, we try to give that to our athletes as well, as like, hey, is that a good option? And these are things to remember. What we don't need to do is heavy lift, then Metcon, and then something else, right? Like, more isn't better, better is better. So I wanted to hit this, and hopefully this was helpful, of how in order to get our athletes consistently better, we need to coach. We need to make sure they're moving well, they're moving efficiently, they're getting new skills, which allows them to move heavier, allows them to move faster because they're efficient, and therefore they can get better over the long term, okay? And that is the key. And we've seen the empirical results with our affiliates, and I've seen it with my members. It's also, remember, CrossFit has always been developed on the potency of what we can do within that hour. If your athletes are bored, it's because you're not coaching it effectively. We need to get better. Follow lesson plans. Make sure you have some fun with it. Have your playlist set up. Making sure you're not, belaboring things, but also making sure that they're getting work done in that general and specific warm-up. That's volume accumulation there. That is how we get them better. So you can't sleep on that either. That all needs to go into it. So make sure you lesson plan, make sure you prep. And if you truly do that, you'll realize, and I follow our lesson plans, and it's hard for me to get all that stuff in an hour. There are times I'm like, man, there's too much. So when people say there's not enough volume, we're not understanding the lesson plans appropriately and what volume actually is. It might look a little different on paper from what you're used to, but trust me, our version of volume, I would say, and I'll go out on a limb here, is the most effective and potent version of volume at the affiliate level, because it allows our athletes to get better. Okay? It allows our athletes to achieve new skills. It allows them to stay healthy and safe, but it also allows us to assess them appropriately. So hopefully that helps. We talked about, no need to do strength every day. We talked about extra volume, all that stuff. So hopefully this sort of unearths a little bit. So if you have any questions, please hit me up, shoot me an email. You can austin@thehandplan.com, or just shoot me a DM, whatever it might be. Work hard, have fun, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.